Good evening, everyone. I've learned so much here at LCI, but I'll share one of the victories that God gave me. As long as I can remember, I've felt a distance between myself and God. It made me feel like a fraud. How could I bring others to Jesus when I felt the distance between him and myself? I finally realized why. I've been holding on to my sins and faults, and they've been like rocks in the soil of my heart. Satan would bring to my memory little mistakes that I'd made, and I would replay them over and over again in my mind and just groan, wishing I could go back and fix those mistakes. I knew God had forgiven me, but couldn't seem to truly let go of my faults. Isaiah 50:10-11 says, "Who among you fears the Lord and obeys the word of his servant? Let him who walks in the dark, who has no light, trust in the name of the Lord and rely on his God. But now, all of you who light fires and provide yourself with flaming torches, go walk in the torches you have set ablaze. This is what you shall receive from my hand. You will lie down in torment." I've been living in torment, revisiting my own mistakes and my own light instead of truly opening myself to God's light and letting go of my faults. Jesus paid for my mistakes, but I wasn't letting him really take my faults away from me. But now, when Satan reminds me of one of my past mistakes, I say, that's not mine anymore. Jesus bought and paid for that. It belongs to him. God said in Ezekiel 36:25-27, "I'll pour pure water over you and scrub you clean. I'll remove the stone heart from your body and replace it with the heart that is God-willed, not self-willed. I'll put my spirit in you and make it possible for you to do what I tell you and live by my commands. You'll once again live in the land of your ancestors. You'll be my people, and I will be your God." God is giving me a new heart, one without rocks in it. He's my Redeemer, and I'm his child.
Good evening, guys. My name's Tim, and that's, of course, my beautiful wife, Julie. We had an awesome time, and it's not very often that a married couple in their 40s gets a chance to spend 3 whole weeks away from their kids, just by themselves, just being together, like the Duick said, just sitting beside each other and not arguing because you don't have time to fix anything about anything. I had a very dramatic experience during the Potter's weekend. They walked us through a process of going to find some pain in your life, and then you ask what the pain is saying, because that's a lie. And then after you discover that, then you go and you walk through the process of asking Jesus what the truth is about that lie. So during one of those sessions, they asked me first we had to take a mask off, and the mask that I took off was a control mask because I like to kind of hold everything tight and make sure everything's in control. So I took my control mask off, and after I had my control mask off, I went into a very painful memory that I had completely forgotten about. So I'm 42 years old, and I had this memory of being a 6 or 7-year-old in this very dark room where this very shameful thing was happening, and there was a lie that was told to me during that time. And I had lived with that lie, and I had lived with that shame about myself all of my life, and I had never remembered that memory before. It was a very painful memory, and it was very frightening to me. So they would send us out to do journaling, and you had to sit there and journal all by yourself for like an hour and 15 minutes during the Potters. So if you're not into that, be careful, but I recommend it. So I remember one particular session where they had asked us to go out journaling. I didn't even want to do it. I was afraid. My body was shaking. and I just couldn't get over the fear of that pain and that shame that I've been living with in that memory. It wasn't until we finished the Potter's Weekend and we got into some of the classes at LCI that I felt brave enough to go back into that memory. In fact, it was at the very beginning of the spiritual warfare session that was being taught by Rachel Deeds. And before she started the session on spiritual warfare, she started singing a song. And while she was singing that song, I felt brave enough to close my eyes and ask Jesus to take me back into that memory. And you know what I saw? I saw an angel. Instead of sitting there in the darkness as a 6-year-old all by myself experiencing this shameful thing, I saw an angel standing over in the corner holding up a lantern that was so bright that I couldn't see anything else. And so now when I go back into that memory, instead of having a shameful memory of something that I had to see and I would never forget and I would always be ashamed of it, now what do I see? An angel with light, and I can't see anything else. Amen? So my life has been changed. Amen?